I used to be a slave, kept under the thumb of the master, the bastard that made me hunt down my own kin. How did he do that, you ask? With the living scar you see on my cheek, this horror that takes no more than a song sung by Master Dearest to control my very thoughts. But now the tables have turned. I broke my shackles, and when I finally find him, I will make the Master sing a very different kind of song.
famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
Once I was a crusader for the Divine Order. I pledged my life to Lucian the Divine. The war changed everything. He sent me to save the elves I grew up amongst. I arrived too late. Lucian ordered the use of death fog against the Black Ring, annihilating everyone I once knew in the process. Now I'm a mercenary killer, one of the infamous Lone Wolves. And my next target is none other than Lucian's own son.
All my life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1. Find out who, or what, is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2. Make it sorry it ever tried.
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world. Trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared. And sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now, no need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
The things I do to complete a contract. Well,
Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully, her rectangular eyes like letterboxes to the void. With one sharp hoof, she kicks you right in the shin.
Fresh meat. Bah! Nice. Plump. Banded like a chicken's leg, too. That may be so, but look at the flies. Ban wisdom. Flies know when a creature will die. And it's around your head they're buzzing, not mine.
With two shakes of her stumpy tail, the sheep turns away from you to peruse her hay-filled manger.
Get your dirty little paws out. Get your dirty little paws. Get your dirty little...
Magister Guard snorts and sniffles as he sleeps. You're almost impressed that one man can make such a phlegmy racket.
Is my shift over? Are you here to relieve me? Wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy scrounger? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. A clever story. I should have known there'd be trouble.
So much for a peaceful stroll.
Empty. The prisoner's eyes meet yours. He speaks not with gratitude, but with gleeful malevolence.
Our freedom tastes better than wine. And I can set you free in return. Say your prayers while you've breath to speak them, lad. The halls await.
What would he have to gain by killing me? I'll have to keep my guard up.
What a well of knowledge this tome is. Dallas is such a dear lending it to me. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. Dungeon? You have the gall to call my laboratory a dungeon? I'd be quite annoyed with you if you didn't look so honestly perplexed.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Source. For good. Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those Source spells of yours? See what happens.
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
My, look at the concentration on your face. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast Source. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
Bloody
A
mummy.
young Magister stands pale and silent. Her knuckles whiten around her weapon.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this. Finn didn't see it like that. He was desperate for us to help him. Two things scared the living daylights out of him. His own shadow and his own source. We'll find out who did this.
She looks up at you with a mirthless smile.
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. Didn't even stir. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. Finn was killed by Source. If a Magister could do that, there wouldn't be a Magister. It looks more like a passenger managed to slip their collar. And the rest, well, you see the evidence in front of you. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometimes they clam up in front of a uniform. Bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Not in here, it isn't. You let me know if you hear anything. Whoever did this is dangerous.
Be good, you scallywags. Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
One of us would kill our own
How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
You sure about that?
No,
What's your name?
no.
You presume right.
Dobbs, didn't your mother teach you any manners?
She got eaten by a void woken.
Nope. Trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la. I wasn't doing anything. I swear.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home.
Put a knuckle in it. I'm trying to concentrate. They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them. I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
Insufferable.
Rolling dice, deciding fates.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet long enough for me to
Don't
listen.
worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
Please, no, That's enough.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, it seems you and another elf engaged in an action somewhat similar to the one I just performed. Only rather more vigorously.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I'll tell you if you can keep it quiet.
Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
The woman keeps rolling her down.
Pigs.
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never... Well, well. What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
I'll come back to you, and you better be ready to talk here.
My, we are fierce, aren't we? Not to worry. I'll soon remedy that. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Ah, music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions asked. As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a... Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
One of us will get our own.
You should probably come to terms with the fact that you've half a mind, full stop. Rein in your impertinence, will you? I'm a fair man, but I won't spare the rod. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoo!
What are you trying to hear anyway?
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall.
I know you can.
Be good, you scallywags.
Name? How dare you classify...
Well, you aren't here on my list. Scrammy. We're trying to catch a killer here.
Stricken pigs.
There's nothing else I can make.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
Oh no, my instinct to survive is quite strong, as with all mortals. Not sure why you would... Oh dear. I seem to have crossed some cultural taboo. How difficult. You have my apologies, human. Perhaps I should demand the same from those red-cloaked humans. They laid their hands on me more than once.
And we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up. Mad? And suffering.
Ah, yes. The niceties. My name is Fane. I am a scholar from... Well, I am a seeker of knowledge. That is enough. It is pleasurable to meet you. Hardly. I've been reading this one for several minutes, and I have yet to find a single insight into the mysteries of the universe. It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history?
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Unacceptable. I've never dined on anything less than a dozen-course dinner, and I don't intend to do away with the custom.
Oh, please. I have no interest. No. I want to know about the Celestial. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a word.
No amount of pestering will get the elf to take his eyes off his book.
I'll give you that knuckle if you keep carrying on.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams, you faring okay so far?
We just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up. Mad?
Trust me, with Bishop Alexander in charge, things will get a lot better from here on out. He's God-woken, you know. You head on in now. Williams will...
Listen.
The Magister starts, recognition growing on his face as he looks right at you.
You look just...
The Magister's face turns white. He makes a move to step backwards, then stops himself as his hand closes on the weapon at his hip.
It is you. Ifan Ben Mesd. I remember you. You were my captain's commander way back in the war.
The Magister's eyes darken. His face closes over into a cold mask.
I always knew you'd end up down low. Lower even than us nobodies in the rank and file. The higher the climb, the louder the splat when you fall. And Fort Joy, you're about to fall further than you thought possible. And I'll be listening for the splat. Happy landings. Look, I don't know you.
Your Majesty, maybe that has the Magister's more concerned than your appetite.
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about sauce.
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No! Go! Oof.
That's enough.
Keep those bolts trained on her, and if she tries...
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking Magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened?
The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled around him.
No, not the final dark. Not yet.
Her hand lies limp in yours. She's too weak to stand.
The dice roll darkly. They're rolling for me.
Oh! What happened? Must have been the turnips. Water? Wine, for goodness sake!
The lizard's eyes The dwarf lies in a heap on the floor, his great beard twisted and tangled. The young woman lies in a heap on the floor. She's breathing normally, but her eyes are wide open, like those of a corpse. Dark, greyish-black clouds swirl through them.
No.
Magister lies on the floor, unconscious and bleeding from a dire-looking wound. The Magister lies on the floor. The hound paws desperately at its snout. It winces as it draws blood from its wet black nose and continues scratching. The dog notices you for the first time and snarls, the hairs on its back prickling as it lowers its skull. It sneezes suddenly and paws at its nose once.
Can't smell. Can't breathe. Too much sauce. Too much. Please, I can't stop.
The dog whines and continues.
Oh, damn. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. Gods damn it. Need to get off this wreck. Quick. Not long before this thing snaps into splinters.
Great God! Something's tapping on the hull!
You pass through the door and are suddenly face to face with an undead. His skull is bizarrely angular, and a glorious jewel sits in the middle of his forehead. The skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia, muttering to himself.
No. What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid. No wonder they're so bloody ignorant.
The skeleton looks up and notices you for the first time.
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book.
Yes. Spend your last few minutes of life battling someone that's trying to read a book. What a No wonder you ridiculous creatures keep dying. Please, I was no more an elf than you are those rags you're wearing. I had a mask, rather ingeniously designed, which allowed me to take that primitive form. A mask that was stolen by that damned witch after her little scene. Still, she'll drown with the rest of these fools, and I will simply pluck my mask from her cold, dead hands. Indeed. Just as sensible as getting off a sinking ship and leaving a fellow to his business. I would say good day, but it seems quite likely that you're a...
The skeleton shrugs.
like a fight, Grace. What was...
He eyes the collar circling your neck and reaches a hand towards his blade.
Another sorcerer!
The Magister's companion doesn't blink, frozen in place at the sight of you.
Even if I knew how to rip that thing off, I wouldn't. Some crazy banshee comes screaming through, and now we got void bugs swarming up top. Sorcerer mutiny!
He whispers loudly to the other Magister.
Don't just cower there, Rix. Take out your blade.
Rix grabs his sword, which shakes in the rhythm of his trembling hand. The Magisters look to each other, then back to you.
Your lies end here. Get!
The marking on the door was painted recently, judging from its pungent scent. You recognize the symbol immediately for what it is. A warning of death. You press your palm against the door to open it. The wood feels neither cold nor warm, but it doesn't budge. The door groans open.
Something's breaking through! What in the hell are those things?
Deathlock! I need to get out of here now! Gods, I need to know.
Children and dwarfs first. There's one little story, sir.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
Said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
The Magister lies on the floor.
Wait! Voidwoken! Beardless bugs won't sink that ship on my...
Let the games begin.
Prepare yourself!
They who are about to triumph.
No telling whether there might be more. We need to move.
Let's not tarry. This old town.
Away! The sea's hungry. We don't have much time.
It's It's Magister Siwan, the one who put on this damn collar. Sounds like she needs help.
She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling tincture. Blood quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. Blood pours out from around the bandage. Magister Siwan reaches out to you, her hand, it's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes locked with yours. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly.
Gods. It's ripping the ship apart.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, we lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Orivan.
So the Order's right about one thing. We attract Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Only one way to find out. Put his likeness in stone as a fool in my book. void woken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn. They made it to shore. Yield to none. I thought these bloody collars were supposed to keep those things at bay. The face is familiar. What's left of it? He was aboard the ship.
Look here, Quercus. Another giant. My word, this blasted isle is teeming with them. What's that? Yes, I did see how it made short work of the great Acorn servants. Quite right, very impressive. But that is no reason to trust it. Giants like that destroyed our forests. They are the very reason the great Acorn is returning in all its wrath. What? Dear me, have you taken leave of all 6 of your senses? You would have me use this giant for a shield? Oh, I see. You cunning devil, Quercus. Of course, if it defeated the great Acorn's vile servants, it can do so again. We need only follow in its big, wide shadow and be safe. Egads! It speaks our tongue, Quercus! Hush before... What do you mean a good time for introductions? You know full well who I am, you silly old cat. The great Salora, Grand... Oh, introduce myself to the giant. I shall do no such thing. No, we will have the giant march. In time, we'll see whether it deserves our confidence. Now, onwards! Shield! Venture forth, post-haste. The great Acorn waits for no one.
spot a strange lizard gazing over the water with a steady, malcontent stare. His skin is of a bright, blood-red colour. Yes, you recognize him from the ship. It would seem you're not the only one who survived the tentacles of the deep. The lizard turns about with the graceful ease of a dancer, or a duelist. You lock eyes with his, two smouldering
Yes, I imagine you do. You're made of sterner stuff than I first gave you credit for. Chances are I wouldn't have survived the shipwreck had you not returned to the aid of your fellow passengers down in that dreadful hole. You have my gratitude.
Hand over heart, he salutes you with a bob of the head. More than a nod, though less than a bow.
My gratitude is worth a great deal if only you'd realize it. But of course you don't, so we'll leave. As for the slave thing, let's forget about all that, shall we? One good turn deserves another. So you may as well have... Now then, if there's nothing further... I'm sure I don't mean to sound condescending, but I had thought it quite self-evident I was gazing out over the waves.
He sighs, dramatic.
Tell me, what do you see when you cast your glance over this ocean? White. Which goes for the dry parts round here too, I imagine.
He looks out over the water once more, and so do you. A few tranquil moments pass as the waves lap against your thoughts.
As for myself, when I consider this vast expanse before us, I see an empire. I see continents dotted with mighty cities. And shimmering along the soft curve of the sea's horizon, I picture the palaces that formed my paradise. Lost. Yes, but these weren't castles in the sky, were they? Quite obviously, I was musing over the very actual empire.
Suddenly, having all the air of being deeply offended, he stares at you with utter incredulity.
Well, don't just stand there gawking like an ape at an abacus. Or do you really mean to tell me you don't know who I am? Well, more's the damn pity, isn't it? For I am the Red Prince, the All-Conqueror, the World-Tamer, the Spouse of the Sun. Of course you know me.
There's a brief moment's pause, during which his grandiloquent pose deflates ever so slightly.
That said, I suppose I must own up to the fact that I find myself rather in between all-conquering and world-taming opportunities at the moment. The grandeur that is my fate has hit a bit of a snag. But never you worry. For the throne I was destined, and my throne I shall have. This and that. Tag along. Do you really mean to compare the fate of an empire to whatever foibles you seek to fit? On the other hand, I really could do with a dog's body. And you've already proven to be trustworthy enough. You came back for the others on that ship after all. Fine, I accept. On one for reasons I'll not disclose right now, it is imperative that I should meet with a dreamer, one of the mystics of my kind. I've reason to believe one of them may be present on this island. Promise me we'll look for him, and I'll extend you the blessing of my company. You do tend to beat around the bush, don't you? Oh well, that wishy-washy answer will have to do then. So, now that that's settled, first things first. Even if you are as versed in the art of eloquence as I am, that our swords will be doing a lot of the talking from here on out goes without saying. As a born fighter, I prefer the perfection of the blade myself. But I'm well acquainted with the secrets of magic, and yes, even subterfuge. What say you? Do not take my elegance as a mask for frailty. My blows shatter shields, and my thrusts pierce armor. If a warrior you need, the warrior you'll have. Very well. Onwards then to victory or death.
The Red Prince nods and gives you a smile that wavers ever so delicately between courtesy and contempt.
Now, as you're aware, you'll be traveling with a prince. Proper forms of address include Your Majesty, Your Royal Highness, or if you're feeling particularly frivolous, My Lord. As your luck would have it, I seem to be fresh out of luggage, so you won't... Of course, there are other forms of protocol to bear in mind, but I'll see to it you'll pick up the rest as we go.
A black cat. Maybe my luck is about to change.
It seems
The
we're not
cat's
the only
eyes are
ones.
clouded and grey, but it stares at you with acute intensity.
What? How did I get... Hey, stop following me. Huh? Yeah, fine.
The cat opens his mouth as if to speak, but his eyes lose focus, and with a jerk... The cat's eyes are clouded and...
What's going on?
What's this? I found something.
Answer him.
Need I repeat myself?
I know nothing of any Verdus.
We already know the truth, Magister. Now speak.
I am a proud loyal to the Order. I would not dream of subverting our cause.
Atusa, please.
Your Godwoken has asked you a question. Answer him.
Need I repeat myself?
I know nothing of any Verdus.
We already know the truth, Magister. Now speak.
I am a proud loyal to the Order. I would not dream of subverting our cause.
Alexander.
Stay back, sorcerer, and stay silent. Our Godwoken speaks.
We know you've been helping sorcerers escape, Atusa. We have proof.
I'd sooner cut my tongue out than lie to you, Alexander. I know nothing of any escapees.
If you can tell the Godwoken no more, your tongue is of no use. Cut it out.
This can't be serious, Alexander. Come!
You should know by now to obey your superior, Magister, whatever she may ask.
Bishop Alexander idly glances in your direction, curiosity on his face. Recognition seems to flicker in his eyes for a moment, but then he shakes his head and looks back towards Dallis. Atusa pinches the tip of her tongue with 2 fingers and brings her dagger to its root. Her eyes squeeze shut. Drops of blood form against the dagger's edge and quickly fall to the ground.
Stop! My father, may his soul rest in peace, would be disappointed in you, Atusa. To think you would lie to his only son, your bishop, and your friend these many years. The fate of our realm hangs in the balance. If you will not help us save it, then you will help the Void destroy it. Dallas?
Yes, Your Holiness.
I believe we're done here.
What a waste. Come, we'll be needed elsewhere.
The Lizard Magister, or what's left of her, lies in a puddle of gore.
She was a lizard, yet a magister. No matter her reasons, her penalty was fair.
He hasn't changed a bit. Always late.
Lest the void overtake and devour
Hey, mister. It's a lot nicer here than that stinking boat, huh? I'm sure glad you went back to save the others. Saw one of them wringing out their tunic at the shore a few hours ago.
Come on, old man. I can't wait all day.
Did you see him? You did, right? Those claws. Wonder what's behind the masks, too. Can't be pretty. That Magister, that was Bishop Alexander, leader of the Divine Order, and his right hand, Dallas. How do you not know this?
The Magister looks at you sideways. She laughs.
Now, why don't you move along and settle in? A Magister will come and find you when they're ready for you. Could be a while, though. We're up to our hoods in sinners these days.
Come on then, Lexi. She's gone for it. Did you see them, sir? Bishop Alexander and the Hammer herself, they were so close, almost within arm's reach. Whatever do you mean by that? You keep his name out of your mouth.
The man shudders with the revulsion of a zealot, eyes...
You take that back! You take it! Well, it's not my job. The Hammer will change your attitude soon enough. You'll... The Divine Order's all that stands between you and a Void-Woken's throat. If you're against the Order, sir, you're a traitor to us all.
Stay down, you!
This is not your business, Long Pig.
Don't let this moss muncher talk to you like that. Especially a cheapskate like this one. Griff already knows she don't like to pay her fair share. Pay up, Elf. No one shorts Griff. Especially not one of you. Just stand aside, won't you, mate? This is no business of yours.
He visibly freezes in fear, stammering a pitiful apology and backing away from you and the elf.
Ah, get out of here, will ya? Both of you ain't worth my time.
The elf smiles and bows to you in thanks.
Where's the oil?
Stay down, you!
Follow me, before more of them trouble us. There is a safe place.
Losa, the dark-eyed jokester you met...
Back then, I was Madame Josephine Gribbles de Pube, and you were Iffen Ben Mezd, right? Glad to see you made it. Nothing like a nice tentacle slap across the moor to set the tone for the week, eh? How'd you escape? I saw you fall. We all did. Thought you were done for. When we get out of this place, I owe you a pint. So you managed to swim to safety, is that it? What about when you were in the water? I heard the same thing. Do you know what this means? It means I'm not the only.
Losa's voice catches in her throat. The joy drains from her face. Her eyes lose focus, and her whole body goes rigid. She is stock-still, waxy-skinned, her eyes dark. Greyish-black veins run from her eyes down her cheeks. Her head snaps to you mechanically, and her eyes lock with yours. Dark pupils dilate. Light suddenly flashes back into her face. The grey veins drain to pinkish flesh, and her whole body relaxes.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Ah, it's nothing really. It's just... I'm just a bit... well, a bit... hospitable? Ha! What I mean is, look, you've never been a host, right? That's because you're like a clump of leaves on the side of the road. That ain't bad, though. I'd give just about anything to be like you. But I'm a roadside inn. Red door, flowers out front, friendly lady at the door beckoning you in for half price. Like a goddamn gold star inn for the disembodied. Now, isn't that just the question of the hour? I can't be sure just yet. I'll be surprised if it's a demon. Definitely not a sprite either. Maybe a spectre, but I wouldn't bet money on it. So, how are you enjoying the joy? So true. And you can stay as long as your heart desires, free of charge. So, you want to check this place out together? Strength in numbers and all that. Who said anything about otherworldly? Demons and brain ghosts are just as mundane as you or I. Mostly you. So, want to go together? It does, right? Before we head out, I've got more than a few tricks up my sleeve. So you'll have to pick which one I'll pull out if... when push comes to shove. Lately I've been into the enchanting arts, but I can shoot, slash, summon, steal, whatever your little black heart desires. So, what'll it be? Dunno if you could tell, but mysticism's kinda my speciality. Let's get into the nitty-gritty while we're at it. What sort of magic are you interested in? Sounds fine. So, we're good to go? Yeah? Well, that was easier than I thought. And I'll do my best to stay myself. Lead the way.
The cat's eyes are clouded and grey.
What's going on?
Our shield speaks, Quercus. Prick up your phantom ears.
Collar, on, sauce, gone, go!
If a Magister finds us on you...
So this is Fort Joy.
A delivery. Surely you'll have one.
What a crumbling disaster.
Scram, snake face.